Week 3 Power Rankings. Time to take a look at how the deck has been reshuffled after the second game of the season. The top 4 teams unchanged, locked in, even though the Patriots lost, Chris Simms. They barely lost to the Seahawks. I'm letting them hold their spot. Thought about putting the Bills ahead of them. The Bills get a bump from 7 to 5. The Packers up 3 to 6. Titans up 1 to 7. It's the Saints who fell 3 after losing to the Raiders down to number 8. That's the top 10. The Steelers crash into it as well. I dropped the 49ers out of the top 10, even though they won 31 to 13. That's one of the biggest fallers of the week, from 6 all the way to 13. And it's justified. Even though they destroyed the Jets, the injuries are too much. The Nick Bosa injury, the killer, but all the others combined, this is a 1-1 team that right now is closer to the middle of the pack than the top, and they're going to have to prove that they can win football games without these key players, Chris. Maybe they can, but they're going to have to show it first.
Yeah, I understand you questioning them. I do. I get that. I mean, where we're sitting right now, yes, if you're going to just go, you go, yeah, they're a beat-up football team. This is not the team that I power ranked a few weeks ago that was healthy, and, so I understand that totally. Did you think at all about moving the Chiefs because off the number 1 mantle? Because I just would say I would have, and again, I get it. I'm just saying I probably would have put the Ravens at number 1 just through the way they've looked through 2 weeks. The Chiefs being a little shaky last week and everything there. But I know it's the kings of the hill still, and nobody's knocked them off the pedestal. That's basically your reasoning?
We're going to focus more on all the 2-0 teams next hour. There are 11 of them tying a record high. Who are the contenders? Who are the pretenders? I think we'd both agree that Chiefs and Ravens are contenders. But to answer your question, I do go with the king of the hill mentality. It's easy. I don't have to rethink it. You are, as the defending champion, entitled to the top spot until someone beats you. Okay. And you know what? The Ravens get their chance on Monday night. Anyone out there that doesn't like the fact that the Ravens aren't number 1, the Ravens get their chance to claim the top spot on Monday night. And that's one of the reasons why I left them there. I may have deviated from it, Chris, if that wasn't the next game on the schedule. Okay. But they get a chance to prove it on the field Monday night. If the Ravens are better, the Ravens win. If the Chiefs are better, the Chiefs win. The game's in Baltimore, so the Ravens have a little bit of an edge, not the same that they'd have if fans were actually filling up the place. We talked about the 49ers. Let's revisit it. When do you reach the point of no return? How many more can they withstand before it all just falls apart? Or is your guy Kyle Shanahan wired to never let it fall apart?
Well, he's wired to never make an excuse or like blink an eye. He'll continue to just go like, okay, I got an issue here. How am I going to fix that? And then let me build a game plan around it. That's where Kyle is great that way. Can the roster handle it? Things like that. I mean, hey, we're going to see. I'm of course concerned as a friend and a guy that roots for the 49ers and things like that. But I'm not concerned to where I'm like, oh, the season's over yet. Not like that. Because let's see. Let's see as we go forward and evaluate. There is still a lot of talent on the football team. Shanahan is special. We're going to get George Kittle back right there. So you're going to have him back and Deebo Samuel back. There'll be a few guys that get mixed back in to the healthy group here that I think could make us change our thought on them maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks, to where we start to go, okay, yeah, I know there's no Nick Bosa, but okay, there's Dee Ford. Oh, George Kittle's there. Deebo Samuel's there. Oh, Richard Sherman's back. Okay, it's not as bad as we thought. Or, they seem to be regaining their form. They just got to kind of weather this storm right here and see if they can battle through it. And fortunately for them, they're playing what I would, the Giants are certainly one of the worst teams in the game right now. So it's an evaluation. I'm not panicked, but I'm a little concerned. I guess that's what I'm saying.
And let's make sure we're clear on this. 49ers fan, close friends with Kyle Shanahan. They're playing your New York Giants.
It's messed up.
The team that your dad took to the top of the mountain.
Right.
This is it. Who are you rooting for this weekend? This is your last chance to change your answer from last week.
No, it's Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. I'm sorry, Big Blue and the Giants. I'm sorry. But, yeah, this is a friend, a family friend. I'm close to him. And as much as I love the New York Giants, yes, I'm going to root for him. And it pains me. Trust me. There is no team I hated more growing up than the San Francisco 49ers. That's why is that irony? Is that classified as irony?
I've given up trying to figure it out because there's no good for whatever incremental.
Is it 10,000 spoons when all you need a knife? I mean,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I've given it up. It's coincidence.
Okay.
It's always coincidence. It may not be irony, but it's always coincidence. All right. New England Patriots, they're justifying my faith in them preseason based on how they've performed. What have they done so far through 2 games that you didn't expect to see, Chris?
Well, I think the big one was just what we saw last week. The throwing the football had to be the thing we had to see to go, okay, we know they're going to have creative ways to run the ball and use Cam Newton and do that type of stuff. But what about that game when a team takes away all that? Are they going to be able to rely on the drop-back pass game? And I think that was the thing that surprised me more than anything. Not that I was doubting it could be successful. Didn't know it could be that successful on week 2 of the NFL season in Seattle, who's got a much improved secondary and, of course, is one of the better teams in football. So, we talked about this to start the show. Just the receivers themselves. Were they going to establish themselves? All we were told last year was there's no weapons in New England. There's no weapons. And I also think, hey, these guys are a year older. Damiere Byrd added to the list. And I do think this emphasizes the fact a little bit that Cam Newton's willing to stand in the pocket and throw the ball down the field. These are the things that were the issues with Brady last year that no one wanted to blame Brady. Everybody wanted to blame everybody else in New England. And I think, Cam Newton kind of brought that to the forefront too.
So you're saying in very subtle fashion that maybe the perception of a lack of weapons had something to do with the quarterback, not necessarily the weapon.
I think it was a little overdone. I understand people questioning the weapons and going, hey, he doesn't have a lot of help and all of that. But I think it was overblown because no one could figure out why New England's offense wasn't working good. And no one's going to blame 12 on New England. So everybody just tried to find an excuse of, O-line's not protecting good. Receivers aren't good enough. And I get it. We see that with all the old legends. At the end of Eli Manning's time here with the New York Giants, here was the phrase from all the Giants fans. If you put great receivers and a great offensive line around him, he could still be good. Oh, no crap. So could I. Let me play then. Give me great receivers and a great O-line. I'll come back out and play. So, that's where it was frustrating to me as a football guy going, we're not realistically evaluating this. People are making up excuses, and not that these guys are great yet, but you see New England's got a good system. Cam Newton's aggressive, and they're coming along, this group, and Edelman's the only really proven guy there.
Give them great offensive line, great running game, great receivers, great defense, great special teams, great coaching.
You can win with that guy, right? That's where it gets to sometimes, and you're just like, what? Okay, well, I think a lot of people could win with that guy.
All right, the Saints have dropped 3 spots from 5 to 8, and you said it last week when they beat the Buccaneers. You said there's reason to be concerned about the Saints, and those concerns came to fruition on Monday night against the Raiders. What can you do now to push the buttons and to get more out of this offense? We don't know what Michael Thomas's status is going to be. They could put him on 3-week IR. They didn't. That at least leaves the door open for him to come back on Sunday night against the Packers. But there's a potential statement game in the offing on Sunday night when Green Bay goes to New Orleans.
Kind of.
And if everything we've seen so far this year in their different contexts, the Packers shredding the Vikings in a place that ordinarily is a great home field advantage, but without fans, it's not, and then shredding the Lions after spotting them a lead. And we see the Saints, who they didn't have their way with the Buccaneers. They got the win. But was that more about the Buccaneers or the Saints? We don't know. And then the Saints looking sluggish against the Raiders. You put those two halves together,
right?
And I'm not picking the Saints on Sunday night. Let me go ahead and give you a preview of our Mega Picks podcast coming tomorrow. I won't be picking the Saints. What if it ends up being a blowout? How do you avoid that at this point if you're Sean Payton and the Saints?
Yeah, it's a little scary. I don't expect them to be blown out just because I still think they're a good football team. But how good? I think that question is still up in the air. You mentioned it. Week 1 was not pretty. The offense was ugly in Week 1. And I don't know if they win the game if Brady doesn't throw the 2 interceptions, one of them being pick 6, and the other one, I don't know, gave New Orleans the ball, at the 35-yard line going in? I'm not sure they can win it with the way they're playing right now. So, yeah, they're 1-1, but it's an unimpressive 1-1. And, the way the Raiders move the ball in their defense, I think, concerned me too. Not the Raiders. The fact that the Saints couldn't move the ball on the Raiders' defense concerned me. The Raiders' defense, I don't expect that to be anything special this year. There's nothing there to hang your hat on. And, to go through that second and third and early fourth quarter without being able to move the ball at all, I think there's definitely some concern there. Can Breeze push the ball down the field? Can they get explosive plays? Their defense, who's the playmaker? Who can make a play? Who can do something there? It's all been very underwhelming, and I just don't know what to expect. Is this the typical slow start, you think, from the Saints? Or are we seeing a team that just passed its prime and is kind of hanging on here, and it's going to be like this all year? I think that could go either way.
Well, and the talk of Drew Brees being done and the Saints being done, we'll see what kind of motivation that supplies to the Saints going forward. I had a flash there. I had a thought.
Yeah.
During your playing career, was there ever a week of preparation where, and I'm not saying the Saints should be feeling this way, but it could go off the rails for them based upon what we've seen so far from Green Bay. Was there ever a week that you spent preparing for a game knowing deep down you were going to get your ass kicked and just blown off the field?
Not that you knew that you were going to get your ass kicked, to use your phrase, but certainly games where I went into it going, ooh, one mistake and we're going to be in trouble in this one. Definitely. I can remember the 2006 Baltimore opening game of the year, preparing for them with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, just going, wow, they're better than us. There's no doubt about it. And they might just steamroll us and kill me on the way to the quarterback every play. But one mistake and we're going to be in trouble. And we made 3 mistakes. I know I threw 3 interceptions that day. But, yeah, there's certainly those moments where the room for error is very little.
Is it irony that you survived the Ravens but then almost didn't survive the Panthers?
I guess. I don't know. I know, right? Either way, they were both big, bad, and brutal. They had more big dudes on their teams than anybody in football at that time. So that was not the 2 teams you wanted to play 2 out of your first 3 games.
Speaking of your Buccaneers, they're 1-1.
Yeah.
They stayed put at number 9. No rise, no fall. We're still kind of monitoring what this team is going to be, which way they're going to break. How do you feel about their chances of making it all click? They go to Denver, a place where Tom Brady has had some bad experiences, but he's never faced Jeff Driscoll as the starting quarterback, so that gives him a little bit of a bump. But they've got the Broncos, home game against the Chargers, and then they go to Soldier Field to take on the Bears. Do you think Brady and the Buccaneers are trending up, or are you concerned?
No, I think trending up, and I'm gonna watch that film right after this show today. I haven't gotten to that, But my big thing with, first off, very fortunate, to have Carolina week 2, and now you get to go play Denver without arguably their 3 best players on the team. Von Miller, Drew Lock, Courtland Sutton. I don't think anybody would argue those 3 best guys on the team. They don't have to play them. That's a great gift for them. So they're still a work in progress. That would be – I didn't sit there, again, watching the game on TV on Sunday going, oh, Bucs got it figured out. Here we go. That game was teetering on, whoa, the Buccaneers offense is really stalled out, and Carolina's going to come back and tie this football game. So, yeah, there is still questions there, definitely. I did think we saw more of the Brady offense early in the game, more than New England short passes, get Brady involved, get him comfortable with what he's seeing in that, and maybe that'll be more of their approach going forward. Just to go, all right, we'll do Brady and we'll slowly infuse the Arian stuff as we go along to maybe get this perfect mesh at some point. But I'm not sold either. Okay, you have them at 9. I probably would have put the Rams at 12 or the Steelers at 10 in front of the Buccaneers right now, just because I'm not quite sure what they are, but I get it.
And to tie segment 1 to segment 2, there's a chance we're going to have a rematch of the 2017 AFC Championship game. If Jeff Driscoll goes down and Blake Bortles is ready, it could be Bortles versus Brady all over again. A game that Bortles, but for a horrible call that took away a touchdown that would put the Jaguars up 17 in the fourth quarter, Bortles may have won. You'd still feel like he wasn't put on earth to throw a football, but he would be able to say that he beat Tom Brady in a championship game.
No doubt.
All right, let's look at the back half of the power rankings, 17 through 32. And there are the Eagles. I dropped them down 4 spots after they lost at home in convincing fashion to the LA Rams. What would you be doing to get Carson Wentz back on the right track after what we've seen so far from him this year, after we saw so much promise last year when he was making it happen with a bunch of no-names around him?
Well, offense is just so hard in Philadelphia. Watching that film yesterday, It's just there's no run game to be consistent of. It's not like Carson Wentz. Now, was he off a little? Like, yes. Did he throw 2 interceptions in the game? You know, one was only in the competitive part of the game. The other one was they're down by 17, and he had to force the issue. But you know, the big thing is, yeah, okay, Carson Wentz certainly can be a little loose with the football, throws it all arms every now and then to lose control of the ball, doesn't know when to, like, die and just go, hey, I'm going to get sacked, I'm going to go down. You know, there is that little reckless part of his game that he certainly can fix. But, you know, the Eagles, it's a little bit like last year still. They got to do more to help him. I mean, pass protection, not great. I'm not sitting there watching the film going, oh, there's people open everywhere, and Carson Wentz is missing them. In fact, I sit there and go, how many times can they ask this guy to jam a ball into tight coverage 9 and 10 yards down the field? I mean, it's constant. It's Ertz smashed in between 2 people. It's Goddard smashed in between 2 people. So there's not a lot of support system around a Wentz right now either. I know it's not perfect, but I think it's an offensive totality thing, not just a Wentz thing.
Yeah, and it just, look, this is the Eagles' way. They take a while to get rolling, and then they find it at some point once we've written them off. They need to find a way to get it rolling from the start of the season.
Yeah.
The Browns at number 24, I picked them up out of the basement. I was so dismayed by just the overall dysfunction last week that I dropped them to the bottom. Now they're at number 24. They've redeemed themselves by beating the Bengals. What do you take away from what they did last week to give them any semblance of hope that they can start stringing some wins together moving forward?
Well, Baker, that offense, it showed you that they can make plays. Baker looked good. He didn't lose control of the football just about the whole night. I mean, made really good decisions. You know, and then the run game, as we talked about leading up to that game, you know, we saw in week 1, we've seen last year, Chubb is one of the 3 best running backs in football. He is a beast, and they can run block. So those are things to build on. I mean, definitely. Yeah, I think you have the Browns a little too low for my liking, if I was going to argue with you there. But they're certainly not a finished product. I mean, their defense, that's disappointing from what we've seen so far. You got these 2-headed monster at running back. The receivers look good. We know the tight ends. Baker corrected. The defense through 2 weeks, though, Joe Burrow and them moving the ball up and down the field on them, and, of course, week 1, they're too talented to be just getting gashed like that.
They've got a rematch coming up week 7 against the Bengals. Before that, there are 4 games that I think will tell us a lot about the Browns. Washington at Dallas, the Colts, and at the Steelers. If the Browns go 2-2 over the next 4 weeks, they're in good position to be competitive. I think they need to win at least one, and their best chance is going to be this Sunday against the Washington football team with a couple of extra days to get ready.
Right.
We're going to learn a lot about Washington this weekend, too, because they look good against the Eagles, not so good against the Cardinals. It's one of the more intriguing games this weekend between Washington and Cleveland, but the Browns could be moving in the right direction, and they will keep moving up if they can keep winning. The Jaguars at 28, I probably should put them higher. They beat the Colts, and that win.
You got the Jaguars at 25, just so you know. You
25. Okay, well, even better
Sorry.
than 28. They were 28 last week. They're now 25. Thank you for correcting me. The Colts win looks better now that the Colts dismantled the Vikings. They went toe-to-toe with the Titans. I feel like I should have them higher than 25, but it was just hard to find how much higher you could go with them. They can go higher, though, and this is their chance Thursday night, their annual, if they even qualify for that primetime game, Gardner Minshew versus Ryan Fitzpatrick as the Jaguars and the Dolphins get together. But this is the chance for the Jaguars to show that the Colts win wasn't a fluke. Because if you're good enough to beat the Colts, you're good enough to beat the Dolphins. And they need to take care of business against the Dolphins. And, if they go to 2-1, I don't know. Do we start taking them seriously? I think we should take them seriously where they are right now. That's why I feel bad that I have them at 25.
Yeah.
Maybe they should be higher.
Well, it was one of the ones that jumped out to me. I just thought, wow. I mean, you're giving to me. I thought, okay, like Florio's giving the Falcons too much respect with their crappy looking 0-2 loss. You know, Washington. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I probably would have put Jacksonville in front of Washington too. Jacksonville, I think, confirmed that they're better than what we thought. Even though they were outplayed week 1 by the Colts, the way they played last week, against the Titans and that game coming down to the end, I mean, I got to give them a little credit right now. I do. I mean, the fact that they ran the ball like that on the Tennessee Titans. Minshew made his plays in the pass game. They were down. The defense made some big stops to let them back in the game. Those were encouraging things. They're a young team. They're not perfect, but like right now, I'm more hopeful for them than teams like the Falcons and even Washington.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.